And it is once again my pleasure to welcome my personal favorite, our Madhavan, to Los Angeles and to Showbiz India. So great to see you. You're looking amazing.
Thank you so much. I'm very touched, Reshma. Lovely to talk to you as usual.
Absolutely. And I saw lots and lots of videos. Of course, I follow you on social media, and you've been up to quite a bit. Let's start with Cons. Of course, this movie, first of all, I had the pleasure of watching this brilliant film of yours. And what a film, we had told you even then. How does it feel? It's coming to fruition. It launched at Cannes.
It wasn't a selection at Cannes, although I would have liked it to be. It was invited to be shown as one of the films at the marketing front of it. But it was, of course, India's selection, and they decided. The country decided to show Rocketry as the first film at the association between India and Cannes and France at the festival. So it felt very privileged, but I was very, very nervous before the screening. Dr. Nambi accompanied us, and then what do you know? The show started, and I suddenly realized this was the moment of truth, because now the baby is finally out, and the public are going to make a comment on it. And it was the most grueling 2.5 hours of my life. But thankfully, we got a great response. And I was happy to see Dr. Nambi smiling as we got a standing ovation. And it looked like all the efforts put in and holding on with the film for such a long time was all well worth it, just because of that one moment.
4. उम्मीद करता हूँ कि इस सारी तामझाम का ढंग का नतीजा निकलेगा. 3.
अगर आपको लग रहा है ये सब फजूल है तो फिर आप यहाँ पर आए कि
2. मैं यहाँ इसलिए आया हूँ क्योंकि मेरे साथ जो हुआ वो इस देश में किसी और के साथ नहीं होना चाहिए. 1.
So well deserved. It's such a fantastic film. Really, people have to watch this. It blew my mind away because it's really a story of an unsung hero that at least I didn't know anything about it. And I think you're bringing that to light. I know you've been very, very involved in it. So tell me the process when you heard the story. How did it come about?
Like everybody else in the country, I'd hardly heard about Dr. Nambi. And when I did, it was about a small spy case where a ISRO space scientist was involved with having an affair with a Maldivian woman, and how he was arrested and tortured, and then how it turned out to be a false case and how he vindicated himself. And it looked like a good James Bond sort of a film for me to do, a quick film that I could do and, have the usual masala in it and, still be slightly different, which is the kind of films that I like to do. But when I went to meet Dr. Nambi Narayanan, all that completely changed. I took one look at the man and I realized there was far more to him and far more to all that might have happened with him and far more to his achievements as opposed to what I had heard. And he was also, although said he was a fan of my work and it met me before, I could realize that he was also more than anything else angry at the accusation that somebody could have dared to call him a traitor or somebody who conspired against the country. And he was not just happy being vindicated, he wanted to go after it. He wanted to set the record right for posterity so that nobody could ever raise a finger on his credibility. Spending time with him and then understanding what he did and why he did it, I was shocked that Dr. Nambi Narayanan, at that point of time, he hadn't gotten his Padma Bhushan. He was more concerned about proving himself right as opposed to all his success. In fact, his success didn't seem to matter to him at all. And that's what is actually getting to me more than anything else. His achievement, his contribution to Indian space research and the scientific community, his engine and all that he had sacrificed for the sake of the country did not seem to feature as part of his chant or narrative at all.
सर दुनिया भर में लोग ना 60-70 टन की इंजन बना रहे हैं और हम यहाँ 600 किलोग्राम के खिलौना बनाकर खुश हो रहे हैं. सर ये रॉकेटरी नहीं है, पपेटरी है. इन रॉकेट्स के जरिए हमें कमर्शियल सैटेलाइट्स लॉन्च करने होंगे. कमर्शियल सैटेलाइट लॉन्च मार्केट जो आने वाले दिनों में $1 ट्रिलियन मार्केट है, उसका हमें हिस्सा बनना पड़ेगा.
जो मेरे अब्बा अंकल पूरा परिवार 5 साल में कमाते हैं, वो आप 1 साल में कमाओगे?
ना, 1 महीने में. क्या कहती हो? मैं एक ऑफर ले लें?
Do you feel like this film may have changed you forever?
Oh my God, it's amazing you should ask me that question, but I absolutely know that it's not just changed me, it's changed everybody that is involved with this film. The outcome of the film is for anyone to guess, and I do hope that it does well and people like the film But I do know that the attempt was to make everybody know or make everybody understand that another Nambi Narayan should not happen in any nation, not just in India, but in any nation. And that was the effort that the whole set of cast and crew were after. And that effort changed us, changed us in the sense that our definition of what patriotism was truly and well defined. We realized that, people who are the true patriots are the ones who actually know that they might never be recognized, that they know that their contribution might never be acknowledged, and they yet go out and put their life on their line and do it day in and day out. Those are the true patriots. They don't just go out on the street and say Bharat Mata Ki Jai and jump in front of a hail of bullets. They do that and a lot more. And the true patriot, of course, is one that doesn't think that he's doing anything great by making that sacrifice. So that definition changed. And then what it means to be committed to your work, what it means to do single-handedly what is right for the society, for the country, for the nation, all these definitions, all these things that we keep hearing about every day and take for granted suddenly took meaning and suddenly took importance in our lives. And that is one of the things that happened as a change in our lives while doing Rocketry.
Bastards. ये फिर से हमारे काबिल दिमाग छीनना चाहते हैं।
क्योंकि मेरे सामने जो देख रहा हूँ उसे देखकर मेरा खून खोल रहा है। नंबी नारायण, प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर ऑफ क्रायोजेनिक, प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर ऑफ सेकंड स्टेज, प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर ऑफ फोर्थ स्टेज, एसोसिएट प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर PSLV।
सबको लगता है कि लिक्विड इंजन मेरी वजह से फेल हुआ है, लेकिन सच तो यह है कि मैं आपकी वजह से फेल हुआ हूँ।
I know this film has obviously taken a lot from you. What do you perhaps think is the most challenging part of this film? You're such a fine actor, but what was most challenging for you?
See, I've never directed I've said this before, any film or an I film or anything. I've just been an actor. And anybody who knows me will tell you that I just come onto the set, become my character, find out when the backup is and head off home and, collect my money and then hope and pray that the film does well. Never actually got involved in any other department of filmmaking. This one, I had to write it because I couldn't find anybody else who would understand the subject. Because if the biopic was on a cricketer or a badminton player or a runner or a singer, it's easy to define to the public what the person does, and how good they do it. So it's easy to find out that guy sings really well or runs really well or plays cricket really well. But how do you tell the public what a rocket scientist does? And how do you tell the common man what a good, great, and a genius of a rocket scientist does? And how do you explain to them, how do you make them understand how fantastic their achievement is? So as a writer, that was a challenge. Then directing this film was not something that I was expected to do. It was thrust upon me at the last minute. And the choice was whether to do the film or to drop it because my director who was supposed to do it couldn't go ahead with it. The third thing was that I couldn't find a producer who would believe in a film that didn't have a song or a fight, that didn't have the cliched elements of commercial success written all over it, but being a high budget film. So I ended up producing it myself. And acting, of course, was something that I started off in the first place, not realizing that I would end up doing it in 3 languages while directing and producing and writing this film. So tell me which part of the film wasn't tough.
400 मिलियन पाउंड्स के इक्विपमेंट स्कॉटलैंड से उठा लाए मुफ्त में। हमारे साइंटिस्ट को फ्रांस भेजकर उन्हीं का इंजन उनसे ही बेहतर बना दिया। रशिया में क्रायोजेनिक इंजन अमेरिकन के नाक के नीचे से निकाल लाए। पागल होने की ताकत आपसे बेहतर और कौन समझ सकता है?
ये सब और बेहतर हो पाता अगर तुम नासा में काम करते तो। ऑक्सफोर्ड डिक्शनरी में देशभक्ति का मतलब समझाने के लिए उन्होंने तुम्हारी तस्वीर छाप रखी है।
What would you like to say to the audience that's watching? What is the labor of love? What does this film mean to you?
There were 2 reasons why I made this film. One was to tell the world about Dr. Nambi Narayan, so that, like I said earlier, another Nambi Narayan does not have to live in our society and go through the pains and the trauma of being a patriot. And the second reason I made a film like this was because I really believe that there are many fields that Indians and India is fantastic at that hasn't been sung about enough. We've done a lot of films on freedom struggle as well as the fight against Mughals and stories and dance and sequences and all that with good reason and of course very important. But science, technology, IT, having the top, amongst the top 20 CEOs in the world from the Fortune 500 companies being Indians, it can't be a coincidence. So I also wanted to make this film and let the world know how spectacular scientists and engineers and IT people we have from our country have not compromised on the technicality of this film, Reshma. You've seen the film. So there are places where it is technical, it is rocket science. I don't expect the audience to understand. But for those who do, you should be proud that we did the research and we are as accurate as possible, because that is the promise I made Dr. Nambi Narayanan.
किसी कुत्ते को मारना हो तो अफवाह फैला दो कि वो पागल है। ठीक उसी तरह किसी इंसान को बर्बाद करना हो तो ये ऐलान कर दो कि वो देशद्रोही है।
On a lighter note, Father's Day is coming up and your son is all grown up and he's a champion himself in swimming. Tell us all about him.
Reshma, Vedant is working very hard. He's all of 16 and, he's won a few competitions internationally. And I think by virtue of the fact that he is my son and he's done well and he speaks well, he's got a lot of attention. But both of us realize, including him, my wife, and Vedant, that he has a long way to go. There are better swimmers than him in the country and in the world. So it is just a dream that is slowly coming true. So he's putting his head down and not letting all this attention get to him, because he is getting a lot of attention because of these medals that he's gotten. But there are important matches coming up in the next few months. So as a father, I'm just happy that he's not swayed by all the popularity that he seems to have gotten. He says, I'm getting this because I'm your son, and I understand that. So I'm quite thrilled with his maturity. And on Father's Day, I just hope that he has a stable and rock solid head on his shoulders as he has right now, and trains hard and makes us proud. But I mean, he has a long way to go.
I can see the father in you beaming, yet you're so humble. But happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you. So lovely talking to you, Reshma.
मुझे तुम लोगों से कोई कैरेक्टर सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं चाहिए, ना ही मैं यहाँ कोई पॉपुलैरिटी कॉन्टेस्ट जीतने आया हूँ। एक मिशन के लिए आए हैं, बस।
Stop theater! Stop! There's no time.
अब सितारों तक पहुंचाने वाली जिम्मेदारी तुम्हारी।
क्या समझ रखा है मुझे? मैं एक रॉकेट साइंटिस्ट हूँ।
And make sure, if you like this video, that you do subscribe to us. And we love to hear from you. So tell us your opinion right here. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications whenever we post something new.